know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
Part 25 is now available. The boundary between fact and fiction is becoming increasingly porous in ways that no one could have foreseen up until this point. Many of the most revolutionary social and technological changes that The Simpsons foretold have come to pass in recent years. Among all these strangely correct predictions, one name leaps out as if the program has some special insight into the future. Musk, Elon. What follows is an exploration of the 2025 forecasts made by The Simpsons that nobody saw coming. Get ready to be astounded, because the revelation that is about to unfold might be the most astounding insight that has ever been revealed. All right, let's begin. The 21st, Trump re-elected as president. Years before Trump became involved in politics, in the 2000 episode of Bart to the Future, the cartoon depicts an adult Lisa Simpson being president of the U.S. She makes a jab about inheriting a severe budget shortfall from President Trump in a passing sentence. She intends this as parody. It was at that time that Trump's reputation as a showman, businessman, and TV personality was well established. He had no real interest in running for office. Not predicting the ridiculous was the point of the joke. However, in 2015, the line between fact and fiction began to blur. The political maelstrom that led to Trump's 2016 triumph began with his announcement that he was running for office. Subtle references to Trump's political career persisted in later Simpsons episodes. Trump 2024 is a sign that Homer casually walks past in one episode. When Trump formally began his campaign for the 2024 election in November 2022, it took on new significance, although at the time it was perceived as another lighthearted attack. The show's predictions appeared to go dangerously close to being accurate once again. The current discussions about the national debt, inflation, and the long-term consequences of measures enacted by Trump mirror even Lisa's battle to rectify the economic disaster that her predecessor left behind. And now the past has repeated itself. We have a president again. The world may finally be catching up to The Simpsons' humor, or they may keep predicting what's going to happen, yet to be determined. They used to make fun of the aftermath, but now we have to live with it. Surprised, huh? Yes, there is a great deal more that followed. Number 19. Cars that climb in the air. The Simpsons had the audacity to fantasize and make fun of flying automobiles even before they were a prototype. A stylized portrayal of 2013 is thrust upon Bart and Lisa in the 2005 episode Future Drama, where airplanes and other flying vehicles zoom past as if nothing is out of the usual. Finally, after nearly 20 years of gestation, that absurd vision is starting to materialize, and not in an animated form but in the sky above us. The concept of flying through traffic in a small plane seemed as far away as teleportation when the show first aired. In contrast, reality provided us with memes that characterized an entire age, selfie sticks, and viral dances. Engineers and visionaries, however, were secretly preparing the way for what appeared to be an insurmountable obstacle at the time. Today, many automotive and aerospace businesses are spending substantially in the technology, and the race to produce flying cars is not only genuine but accelerating. As an example, Hyundai has teamed up with Uber in a bold attempt to introduce flying taxis. When Samsung Sky's Switchblade debuted in December 2023, it was one of the most noticeable improvements. An elegant three-wheeled aircraft achieved its first flight, reaching a record-breaking altitude of 500 feet. Presently, the firm is shooting for mass manufacturing by 2025, giving consumers the real chance to drive up to the very edge of a traffic bottleneck and then physically take off. In 2028, Ivanka Trump will be number 18. Just weeks before Donald Trump was elected president in 2016, during an episode that aired, Homer Simpson wore a campaign button reading Ivanka 2028 inches in a brief but powerful picture that The Simpsons discarded. As far as the untrained eye could tell, it was just a subtle jab at the idea of political dynasties being played for laughs from one generation to the next. However, the moment was notable since it came from a show that was famous for incorporating sarcasm with bizarrely accurate predictions. Is it more than a passing joke, or were those knowing eyes of The Simpsons looking into the future again? Ivanka Trump had already begun to transition from her role as a prominent figure in the fashion and branding industries to that of a prominent figure in her father's administration as an advisor to the president by that point. Her participation in domestic campaigns, foreign summits, and policy talks drew both admiration and condemnation, but it also hinted at a developing political personality apart from her famous father. The Ivanka 2028 button is more than just a funny joke, even if Ivanka hasn't formally run for president and probably won't. It embodies the cultural discourse surrounding legacy politics, the concept of family brands swaying public opinion, and the fuzziness of the boundary between public service and the influence of celebrities. The Simpsons didn't merely consider the possibility, regardless of when she decides to run in 2028 or later. Long before anyone else had the audacity to think about it, they sow the seed. If that scenario comes to fruition, Springfield's Best can claim another prize in the creepy category. The 17th, Little One's Language Interpreter. One of the biggest mysteries of parenting for millennia has been understanding a baby's cries, a cacophony of screams and whimpers that baffles even the most seasoned carers. Could it be boredom, lethargy, a soiled diaper? Perhaps they are simply yearning for a snuggle. In classic Simpsons style, the program once made light of this serious problem by inventing a baby translator, a made-up gadget that could translate a baby's sobs into understandable adult speech. The idea was delightfully ridiculous, a device that can articulate a baby's every demand in simple terms. What was formerly considered a domain of exaggerated hyperbole is now a legitimate field of scientific investigation. Recent developments in AI, speech recognition, and emotional computing have brought researchers one step closer to deciphering a baby's cry. The precise analysis of newborn vocalizations for meaning is taking them from a realm of mere noise to a whole new level of sophistication. Worldwide, startups and academics are working on machine learning-based solutions, such as applications that can detect whether a baby is hungry by listening carefully and learning from thousands of recorded screams, exhausted, achy, or just plain uneasy. Some even try to go above and beyond by adding features like motion detection and face recognition to provide a more complete picture of how a newborn is feeling emotionally. The goal is to help parents and children connect on a more profound and intuitive level, rather than only providing technological babysitter services. Number 16. Completely autonomous vehicles in the show. In the comedic future sitcom, The Days of the Future, a self-driving automobile breaks down and ignores a passenger's urgent plea to stop for the lavatory. The idea of autonomous vehicles has evolved from a faraway utopian ideal to a quickly materializing reality in the past few years. The likes of Uber, Waymo, and Tesla have been toiling away at developing fully autonomous vehicles, with the hope of creating a transportation system that is less prone to accidents and more efficient overall. To safely navigate highways, avoid obstructions, and keep passengers safe, these vehicles depend on advanced artificial intelligence, sensors, and machine learning. The concept of autonomous automobiles is exciting, but as The Simpsons show in a funny way, even the most cutting-edge technology may fail. The episode highlights a critical issue, the fallibility of autonomous systems, by showing an automobile that isn't working properly, despite the progress in self-driving technology. Autonomous vehicles have proven in the real world that the technology isn't perfect. These incidents, which range from autos' inability to detect people to software errors that cause collisions, demonstrate the dangers of extensively using self-driving cars. Designers face a number of challenges while creating these vehicles, one of the most significant being making sure they can react correctly to unforeseen situations and the unpredictable behavior of other drivers. It is becoming more and more urgent to conduct thorough testing and incorporate fail-safe features into self-driving cars before releasing them onto public roads in order to avoid accidents and guarantee the safety of all road users. Feeling stunned? This following one, though, will completely floor you. Episode 15. Mars colonization. Lisa Simpson is selected for a trip to found a colony on Mars, in an episode that is both hilariously ridiculous and oddly contemplative. A challenge that in principle calls for unwavering bravery, intelligence, and stamina. What starts out as a grand leap for humanity soon turns into a family affair, as Marge won't let Lisa go into space alone, in typical Simpson way. The tone goes from motivating to comically chaotic when the entire Simpson family joins the effort. Although the episode embellishes the chronology, it pokes fun at the actual delays and problems that beset space travel, with an initial objective for 2026, but a landing in 2051. Despite appearances to the contrary, the film is a chillingly true portrayal of the increasing fixation on Mars among human beings. The plans to colonize Mars by sending people there have been publicly stated by Elon Musk and SpaceX, despite early goals aiming for the middle of the 2020s. Similar to the mission that was postponed in The Simpsons, those aims have been further delayed due to technical difficulties and the overall complexity of the undertaking. However, thanks to recent advancements in rocket technology, the goal continues. One such vehicle is SpaceX's Starship, which aims to carry big crews across interplanetary distances in a reusable and powerful manner. Not only Musk, but others share this aim. A program run by NASA called Artemis is also preparing the way for permanent space settlements, with experiments on the Moon serving as a proving ground for missions to Mars in the future. From Russia's Roscosmos to Europe's ESA and China's CNSA, more countries are jumping on the bandwagon, all with the goal of adding to the knowledge needed to maintain life on Mars. For a long time now, rovers have been exploring the surface of the planet, gathering information about soil chemistry and possible water sources, among other things, providing a depiction of Mars that appears more and more like the real thing. The groundwork for life on other planets is unquestionably being prepared, even though families aren't exactly lining up to go space just yet. 14. The holographic message that Bart Simpson gets in Bart to the Future asks his band to play at a club. The idea of holograms as a mainstream medium for communication and entertainment seemed so far-fetched when it was first shown, but this made-up idea is starting to feel more and more like a reality as technology advances. Researchers and businesses are hard at work developing handheld holographic devices, and advancements in AR and VR might see these technologies adopted by the general public in the near future. Unlike before, the idea of holograms taking the place of cell phones may not be as fantastical. Wearable technology allows for, thanks to advancements in small projection technology and AI-powered assistants, holographic interfaces, which enable us to engage with data and media in three-dimensional space, may come to dominate the future, allowing us to do away with conventional screens altogether. By improving our interaction with technology, this breakthrough has the potential to make communication feel more real and immersive. It is more and more likely that holograms will become commonplace in our daily lives in today's globe. But there are still big obstacles to go past. Holographic communication has a long way to go before it can be used everywhere, because to its high development costs, high energy consumption, and the requirement for supporting technology to be widely adopted. The concept of holograms as a regular means of communication demonstrates how far technology has gone despite these challenges. Number 13. Embraced by a spectacle. Unchecked environmental devastation forces authorities to take severe measures in the Simpsons movie, which leads to Springfield being placed behind this impenetrable dome. Despite the comedic intentions of the setup, particularly Homer's hopelessly unsuccessful attempts to escape, a darker undercurrent runs through the plot. Overreach by the state, environmental catastrophe, and the precarious balance between individual liberty and social duty are all represented by the dome. People living in the town are isolated, from both a physical and an autonomous dome perspective. This situation doesn't seem as far-fetched in today's world as it might have in the past. The idea of contained, strictly controlled housing has become popular, not as a paranoid theory, but as a possible solution to the world's mounting crises caused by diminishing resources, global warming, and fast urbanization. By utilizing climate-controlled zones and smart cities, it's easy to envision a future when governments impose more stringent regulations on the delivery of water, energy, or food within isolated areas, given the increasing prevalence of consumption tracking devices. Temporary domes, literal or otherwise, might be compared to the precedent of lockdowns during the pandemic, when whole populations were confined to their houses or cities. Another possible event that the show delves into is the unexpected appearance of a tiny black hole on Earth. The black hole, which at first glance appears to be nothing more than a harmless aberration, starts to expand at a frightening rate, engulfing things and eventually even humans. Things get worse until the black hole engulfs everything in its path due to its exponential growth. Surprisingly though, rather than being destroyed, everything that goes into the black hole is sent to another planet, where inquisitive creatures are waiting to greet the newcomers. Although this plot is obviously meant to be humorous, it quietly touches on serious scientific worries about black holes and what they could do. The idea of a black hole crashing onto Earth is intriguing to scientists studying these cosmic events, even though it's a far-fetched concept. Miniature, dense objects that could possibly emerge from collisions of very energetic particles, known as micro-black holes, have long been the subject of scientific speculation. For example, those produced by the Large Hadron Collider and other particle accelerators. Although the unexpected arrival of a black hole on Earth is highly unlikely, the thought of it yet evokes a mix of wonder and dread. As a matter of fact, spaghettification occurs when an object falls into a black hole and experiences the tremendous force of gravity. When an object gets too close to the black hole's singularity, it will be stretched and ripped apart. We still know very little about black holes, but the idea of surviving such an ordeal is completely fantastical. The 11th Automated Systems Launch Attack on Humans. An episode from 2016 has the family visiting a robot-run theme park of the future. The immaculate efficiency of the futuristic paradise first impresses, but then the robotic employees betray the visitors, and everyone runs for cover. What started off as a humorous jab at our fixation on technology now feels strangely prescient. Machine learning is a commonplace concept now, revolutionizing industries from logistics to finance. It's also creating poems, performing surgery, and conducting interviews. Fears about widespread joblessness, economic inequality, and a lack of ethical monitoring are becoming more vocal in the wake of this seismic shift, as robots take on more responsibilities once handled by humans. The question is, how can we make our tools work for us instead of against us? Many prominent figures in the tech industry have expressed concerns about the rogue AI mayhem depicted in that Simpsons episode. The possibility of an intelligence explosion has experts on edge. This would mean that AI systems could eventually outsmart humans and start acting independently of our will. The danger in this hypothetical future would not come from evildoers so much as from objectives at odds with human principles. Just like the friendly theme park bots gone haywire, a well-intentioned AI may nonetheless do catastrophic damage if given the wrong goal. It wasn't only the concept of renegade machines that the Simpsons were making fun of. They served as a reflection of our own hasty advancement. Due to its mesmerizing graphics, the Barbie movie, which debuted in July 2023, became a worldwide sensation. Witty societal criticism and a sentimental pull. Simultaneously though, other, darker headlines made headlines. The former US President Donald Trump. These two seemingly unrelated occurrences were almost too strange to be real, but in a strange turn of events, The Simpsons had forebodingly foretold this exact meeting of pop culture and political theater many years before. During an incident with foretelling, in a casual manner, a newscaster breaks the news of Trump's arrest before effortlessly shifting gears to report on the highly awaited film's premiere, which is humorously juxtaposed with Malibu Stacy, the show's take on Barbie. Back then, this scene was a comedic dig at how the media tends to mix important news with light-hearted entertainment, creating an atmosphere where the distinctions between the two become blurry. The strange coming together of these two happenings in 2023, almost as if the Simpsons satire were materializing in Trump's legal troubles and the success of the Barbie movie. The writers of the program did an excellent job of writing the juxtaposition of the criminal allegations against a former president with the happy, carefree spectacle of Barbie. In this instance, what had previously been a scathing indictment of media culture's propensity to obfuscate or water down important events had become a reality. In episodes 5 and 82 of The Simpsons, Lisa's optimism is on full display as she builds a solar-powered race car to enter the alternative energy derby.
This scene highlights the importance of invention and the potential for a greener tomorrow. A corporate-sponsored blimp flies overhead right when her invention is starting to gain momentum though, turning the public's enthusiasm into disdain and casting a cloud over her sunny ideal. At first, the thought of the sun being purposefully obscured seems ridiculous, but it reflects the dynamics of the real world with disturbing precision, a symbol of renewable optimism and technical advancement for the sake of the Earth. Lisa's vehicle is more than just an automobile. As of late, solar power has emerged as a driving force behind this shift. Clean energy is being generated from a variety of sources, including residential rooftop panels, large-scale solar farms, and electric utility systems. The use of solar electricity has emerged as a major player, thanks to advancements in energy storage, electric vehicles, and solar charging stations. Lisa's dream is becoming a reality. However, similar to what happens in Springfield, these endeavors frequently encounter opposition. In the real world, fossil fuel companies are fighting back against the shift away from their products, and the blimp's sabotage exemplifies this. 8th spot. An acquired company of Walt Disney Company, 20th Century Fox was briefly mentioned in the 2000 episode Bart to the Future in a running humor. This was originally intended as a comedic dig at Disney's growing clout in Hollywood, a poke at the prospect that the media behemoth might acquire other major players in the future. After nearly 20 years have passed, and the once joking subject became serious news. After a record-breaking $71.3 billion purchase of 21st Century Fox in 2019, the Walt Disney Company became the proud owner of a plethora of famous properties, such as the X-Men series, Avatar, and The Simpsons. Silently altering the Hollywood scene and beyond was the broader trend of media concentration, which this historic purchase represented. The purchase of 21st Century Fox in an effort to better compete with streaming services like Netflix, Disney has strengthened its streaming ambitions by acquiring significant film franchises and acquiring a controlling interest in Hulu. As a result, Disney's hold on The Simpsons, one of its most enduring cultural properties, was further solidified across both analog and digital platforms. Although the presentation failed to foretell the exact timing or cost of the acquisition, its creators showed exceptional insight into the future of the sector. The Simpsons' recurring Osaka flu plot from Season 4 exemplifies the show's legendary knack for combining satire with shockingly prescient moments. A subplot that may have been considered as little more than a humorous moment in 1993 turns into a terrifying tale of a quickly spreading virus, all taking place in the town of Springfield. From what starts as a quirky Mother's Day special, regarding the worldwide pandemics that would take front stage in the news in the following decades, it now seems uncannily pertinent. The episode depicts how the community descends into chaos as Marge Simpson, the beating heart of the family, gets locked up. A second emergency arises meanwhile as the community struggles to cope with her absence, a virus known as the Osaka flu, which has made its way to Springfield from Japan in contaminated juicers. As if by magic, the virus makes its way into the population after an infected factory worker in Osaka taints a shipment of juicers. A pandemic ensues as a consequence of these faulty goods reaching Springfield and being sold to naive households. This storyline was a humorous and exaggerated look at the spread of disease in a small village when it first aired. Still, everything feels too familiar today. The frighteningly realistic depiction of real-world dynamics is the idea of global interconnection through travel and trade, which allows diseases to spread across borders. Diseases can spread quickly along international trade channels and via international travel, as shown by recent outbreaks like COVID-19, SARS, and H1N1. This happens even before health systems are ready to react. The sixth one, Tesla and electric vehicles. The Musk who fell to Earth presents Elon Musk in a positive light, showing him as a visionary who is committed to environmental protection and renewable energy, in addition to his role as a business tycoon. A new Tesla electric car is introduced to the Springfield residents by Musk's character in this episode, furthering his real-life dedication to promote sustainable energy options and decreasing dependence on fossil fuels. A narrative element and sarcastic remark on his enthusiasm for electric vehicles, the automobile he gifts to The Simpsons, while highlighting the significance of innovation in tackling global environmental concerns. The show employs its signature blend of humor and absurdity to to mock Musk's ambitious plan. In the real world, Musk has been actively working to modernize the automobile sector, fight climate change, and cut carbon emissions through his company Tesla, which promotes electric vehicles. In addition to providing a light-hearted spin on Musk's character, the electric car's portrayal, The Simpsons is in line with Tesla's advocacy for a more sustainable future. Fifth number. Musical control of thought processes. Bart, Nelson, Milhouse, and Ralph join Party Posse, a boy band, to cash in on the pop music industry's winning formula in one very informative episode of The Simpsons. It appears to be a light-hearted parody of the music industry at first glance. However, their popular song Dropped a Bomb takes on a terrible undertone when used for an evil purpose. A cryptic chant called Even et Nanuiji is featured in the song, which is accompanied by a spectacular music video. The secret message is uncovered by Lisa. It says join the Navy, when turned the other way. A clandestine recruiting tool used to entice young people to join the U.S. was hidden under what seemed like an innocent pop song at first. The military. Despite its humorous value, the plot's ridiculousness illuminates the junction of and persuasion in the actual world. Governments have always utilized music and media to sway public opinion, especially during wartime. During World War II, hymns like Over There's encouraged people to join the military and lifted spirits across the country. Hollywood, with its patriotic blockbusters, has also played an important role in rallying support for these causes. The military and media companies continue to collaborate in a covert effort to influence public opinion, particularly on matters of national pride and recruitment. Additionally, the idea of subliminal messaging in media is far from new. From the 1980s backmasking scandal, in which the use of reverse messaging was said to promote specific actions, to the continuing arguments over advertising, the notion that music, the power of media to influence audience actions, is a topic of widespread interest. Unsettling as it may be, this Simpsons episode serves as a sobering reminder that media and art serve purposes beyond mere expression. They have the potential to be effective propaganda vehicles. An episode titled The Musk Who Fell to Earth pokes fun at Elon Musk's lofty transportation vision for the future, namely his Hyperloop concept. Musk proposes a high-speed transportation system in this episode, which has the potential to drastically cut travel times between cities. As part of the episode's criticism on Musk's lofty technical ambitions, the futuristic transportation system, an idea he introduced to transform travel, is comically portrayed. Musk initially proposed the Hyperloop with the intention of building a new